Hi, I'm Dr. Renee Fowler Hornbuckle, and welcome to Proven, a conversation with entrepreneurs and small business owners about their raw, uncut journey in the world of business. And so stay tuned in because you're going to learn a thing or two here today based on the expertise that these individuals share along their journey about why they became who they are. Today we have another phenomenal guest. I have with me Amber. Amber, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'll tell you what, I cannot wait to just dive into who you are and what you do and how you got to where you are. Okay. A lot of times people don't know the story behind what someone does, but we're going to find that out today.
Okay.
So if you'll just take a moment to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Amber Dorsey. I am the owner of Dorsey DFW Realty Group. I manage a team of real estate agents under the Real Brokerage. And I've been doing this. My 10-year anniversary is in September. So September will make 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, I'd say that if you've made it over 3 to 5 years in business, that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing it. So 10 years is commendable.
Thank you.
So let's just start with what got you into real estate.
I always say God bullied me.
Okay.
So when I first graduated college, I went to school to be a broadcast journalist, and I applied for different jobs at different places. And back then, they told me I sounded too ethnic. And so I would take like voice lessons and things like that. And I think over time, I've gotten, a better TV or radio voice, so to speak. But it just was, I can't hear it. So I can't hear
Okay.
my Southern accent. I can't hear any of that. So with that being said, it would be really hard for me to turn it off and on TV. And so I had made a decision that I was going to go into PR. So I started working for the city of Lancaster.
Mm-hmm.
And while working for the city, I just kept meeting these realtors and they just seemed so happy and free spirited. Now, granted, now that I'm part of the world, I
You,
know
you
there's
understand the
more
dynamics,
to it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the time, I was like, man, they just seem so happy and carefree. I wonder what these people do.
Mm.
And at my role at the city of Lancaster, I was doing PR, but I also was over the city planning and the budget of things. So
Oh,
I got
wow.
to handle some of the city taxes to
Mhm.
understand how zoning worked. And little did I know, God was planting seeds to teach me how to become a realtor on the other side of things.
That's
I
amazing.
created like a LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to become a realtor. Couldn't wrap my head around paying the money to become a realtor. And so I created a LinkedIn trying
Mm-hmm.
to find another job.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, a developer hired me.
Okay, okay. I'm understanding this process of you being bullied and pushed
Yeah,
down
a
this path.
developer hired me, and it was a master
Wow.
plan community, one of the biggest communities in the DFW area. I helped develop that area, built relationships with builders,
Wow.
um, and in that time frame, I remember my boss saying, "You should be a realtor." And I was like, God, if you don't stop picking on me. And so I went on ahead and I did it. And he paid 50% of my school.
Oh, wow.
And then when it got
Amazing.
time to take the test, one of the builder's sales reps, she paid for my test prep. So it was like God just kept pouring into me and putting people in my life to tell me this is where you're supposed to be.
I love it. Well, as much as you wanted to have a career in broadcasting, and I'm a Southern girl, so I don't hear it either, right? So people tell me all the time, girl, your Southern accent.
Yeah.
And it's okay because I believe God will send us down a path often that we would not have traveled, had there not been those obstacles in the place. And so I think for you to hear that you had that journey and it seemed like it was taken care of, that's exciting because so many people get discouraged
Mhm.
when they don't hit their original mark, right?
Mhm.
But you just kind of went with the flow. And so to be able to be a part of one of the largest development, I'm sure developed a lot of skills in you.
Mhm.
What would you say to someone that's thinking about you now have your own small business, but just thinking about taking some big, bold steps, what would you say to them? Because I'm sure that had to be frightening to enter into this space you never
Yeah.
intended to be in.
I mean, honestly, I would just say do it. Like, but do it scared
Hmm.
and always talk to yourself. Like, tell yourself you can do it. You deserve to be in whatever space you think you want to be in.
Wow.
I think a lot of times what happens is I think the new terminology for it is imposter syndrome, right?
Hmm.
And so a lot of times we talk ourselves out of things.
Right.
But what if it worked out? Then what?
Yeah.
And so I've always been a strong believer in that. I think when I was trying to find myself, because I wasn't going into broadcasting, when I was applying for these other jobs, nobody would hire me at first, right? And I was like, so what? I don't qualify. Let them
Hmm.
tell me.
Mm.
Let them
Okay.
tell me I don't qualify.
Bold confidence.
And so, because if
Yeah,
I
that's
keep
needed.
looking for everything that I qualify for, you're never going to go for it.
Mm.
And so I think I planted that seed at such a young age,
Mhm.
not realizing that until this conversation, honestly, that God was planning something bigger in me.
I love it.
And I mean, because I was veering left
Hmm.
when when I thought I was supposed to be going right, I was taking a different path for myself.
Wow.
And so the job I applied for with the city of Lancaster, I didn't technically qualify for
Hmm.
it. But I was like, you know what? If
Wow.
they get me in that room, they'll love me. And I had to tell myself that.
That's
And
so
I
good.
remember going, I had my nails, they was ghetto. I had all these little designs on them. And I had my nose ring in, forgot to
Hmm.
take my nose ring out. And I remember hiding my nails under the table, like, just don't talk with your hands. Just don't talk with your hands. And when I left, I was like, okay, hopefully I got this job. That next morning at 7:45 a.m., my phone rang. And it was the HR rep.
Hmm.
And she said, we are going to hire you for this job. Next time you come in, please take your nose ring out.
Oh, wow.
I ran in the other room because my best friend was visiting me. And I ran in there and I got on my knees and I prayed. And I thanked God. And I
Hmm.
asked her to pray with me.
Hmm.
When I was working there, I hated that job.
Mm.
I hated it. And I remember wanting to leave the job. And I had to tell myself, you prayed for this. And until you learn to appreciate this,
That part.
God ain't going
That's
to open
good.
that next door for you.
Wow.
And so that next door ended up
Hmm.
being the developer, not realizing that the developer
Hmm.
was the door to my purpose, which my purpose is probably way bigger than real
Hmm.
estate. It's probably something
Yeah,
past that,
absolutely.
but it's just stepping stones
Hmm.
to that next thing.
Wow. What an amazing story, because a lot of times people won't have the stick to itness to stay
Mhm.
with something, even if they don't like it.
Mhm.
But the fact that you said you prayed and thank God for that, well, guess what? This is a blessing to you right now.
Mhm.
Stay, learn, develop so that you'll be prepared and
Mhm.
ready. And that's what it sounds like happened to you. That when that developer called, you were ready.
Yeah, and that city of Lancaster job, as
Hmm.
much as I hated it,
Hmm.
the organization, the way that I structure my business,
Hmm.
all comes from that.
Wow. So you learned, you developed, you grew there, and then you
Mhm.
stepped into your next. You worked for that project for a period of time. When was it you recognized that you were ready to step into your own business?
So I ended up getting promoted. And so I moved to a different development community. And at that point, I had my real estate license. I had just gotten it. And my boss, I had a
Hmm.
new boss. She also had her real estate license. And I probably was there about 6 months. Now I was a director level
Hmm.
position, had my own office space. And my boss wrote me up for being a realtor, but I got the position
Mm.
for being a realtor. And she also was a realtor. And
That's interesting, but
and so when it happened, I felt like she was picking on
mhm.
me. And I
Wow.
couldn't figure out why. And I knew I got the position
Hmm.
because I could pass. So I could pass to be Mexican. I could pass to be Black.
Oh, wow.
I knew
Yeah.
why I got that role because it was in Forney. And this was at the time, Forney was just opening up like coloreds, us Black Mexicans, any other race were just moving to that area. So they needed somebody who looked like them.
Wow.
And so that's why I got the role. And I knew that going into it, I knew that. And I was like, okay, I will just take advantage of the opportunity that was presented to me. And so when I got rolled up, I almost felt, well, I didn't almost, I felt like I was being picked on. I remember going in my office, shutting the door, and crying. And my boyfriend at the time called me in the middle of me crying and said, hey, babe, if you want to quit your job, I got you for the first 2 months. Had no idea what I was going through at that moment.
Wow.
But it was like God kept planting the right people
around you,
around
building the
me
infrastructure.
to put me in position. And so I picked a date. And it was my 1-year anniversary date for real estate. And my mom happened to plan a family trip. And I was like, okay, you quitting right before the family trip. So yeah, I quit on my 1-year anniversary. I had sold one house only. But I believed in myself enough. I did a lot of apartment locating, which a lot of people don't realize, like in real estate, you can make money doing apartment locating. And so I did a target area of where I lived, and I just targeted that area for the time being. And I just did. And I remember being scared. When I was turning in that 2 weeks notice and I pushed print, I was like, oh my God, you really about to do this. I had to talk myself up to go into her office and hand it to her. Because I told myself, you're not emailing it to her because she can't have an excuse on why she didn't see it.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it's amazing how we can go through these obstacles and these hard places in life, or sometimes we don't understand why we have to, especially if we produce good work. But it really appears that each of those, I like to say, failures, if that's how we identify them, are nothing but stepping stones to success. And so your stepping stones led you to starting your own business and being confident enough to be able to do it. So while you were in those hard presses, you were really being strengthened, right? And I think that's a part a lot of people miss. People ask all the time, they're like, how many failures did you have in your life? I was like, I've had a lot, but every one of them was necessary for where I needed to go next, right? I learned from them. I learned what to do and what not to do. And that's really important as a small business owner, that you learn from everything and then apply it to where you are today as a broker, right?
Yeah.
And so now you've got teams of people that are working for you. So to look at where you came from to where you are now, you had to boldly and confidently make some decisions to step into that. And so tell us about that journey.
I think a lot of it has to do with realizing when it's time to grow and time to let go of certain things, right? So like as we get to a place like becoming an individual agent and then starting to add people, I think that was the hardest part for me. Not the quitting the job and all of that.
Well, adding the people to your team.
Adding the people, because now you got to trust people to represent you.
Okay.
And
That's
so
good.
I know what I stand for. And I think when I use broadcasting, honestly, to build my business. So I literally would pick up my camera and record myself and talk to you about the real estate process, just like the news does, and tell you little things, but leave you with the open-ended question so you would want to message me. So you would want to talk to me. And it just so happened I did it every day at the same time, my recordings, and I would do them live. I started actually double booking myself. So I'd be sitting outside of a client's house getting ready to go meet with them to talk about the home buying process. So from your perspective as a viewer, I'm busy.
Right.
And I'm really just building. I don't realize that I'm actually doing these things, but from your perspective, I'm busy like, oh, she's doing good. I need to call her.
Wow.
And so I'm planting seeds in your head. And so
That's
now
good. That's a good use of that broadcasting.
And so now, and then I would do like little
Hmm.
commercials and stuff like that.
Wow.
And so I ended up growing so much, I needed help.
Hmm.
And so now you add people who don't technically think like you and don't come from your background or don't have your same work ethic.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I feel like everything was kind of like self-taught, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Right.
And what I've come to realize is everybody's not like that.
Hmm.
Some people want it handed to them.
Hmm.
And when you get those kind of people learning to have patience, learning that leadership comes in a different style per person, almost like being a parent.
Hmm.
Each child needs to be
Right.
loved
Exactly.
differently. And so that's the same thing with leadership. Everybody
Hmm.
needs a different version of you to become the best version of themselves.
Oh, that's good.
And so
Did y'all hear that? Okay, I'm gonna need you to say that one more time. Right, right. Talk to that person.
everybody needs a different version of you in order to become the best version of themselves. And so
Ooh, that's good.
you have to speak life into people differently.
Hmm.
And so sometimes that stretches me more than I want to be stretched sometimes. Like sometimes I don't have that
Hmm.
to give them because I may be giving that to you as an agent on my team. And then I have a client who's a headache over here. And so I'm still an active agent. So sometimes it can be draining because you're pouring into
Hmm.
so many
Yeah.
people.
But as a business owner, you understand that you have to adapt
Mhm.
to what's needed at that moment.
Mhm.
And a lot of times we allow our emotions and our feelings or our lack of energy to affect our ability to be successful in business. And so pushing beyond that is
And knowing
key,
that we need rest too.
that part.
Respecting
Yeah.
our own boundaries because
Yeah.
I think a lot of times as business owners we
Hmm.
struggle with respecting ourselves, our
Hmm.
boundaries because we want to show up for everybody else.
Right. And you can't do that.
So like I just went on a 2 week vacation and I can appreciate it. But the
Hmm.
whole time I'm on vacation, I'm still texting, and
Hmm.
I have to tell myself, okay, you're gonna leave your phone. You're gonna
Yeah.
leave it in your purse this whole
Yeah.
time you're eating. So like really creating those boundaries for yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important because sometimes we don't do that.
No, we don't do that. I'm guilty of it. I don't know about anybody else, but we've all been guilty of it because we figured that we have to be
Mm-hmm.
present at all times in order for our efficiency
Mm-hmm.
and what we have to work properly. But we've got to learn how to get it to the place to where we do have an infrastructure and support in place that they can manage it. In fact, that's what they call a business. It can
Yeah,
run without you.
but it's the difference between an entrepreneur and a
There
CEO.
you go. There you go. There you go. So we have to be able to implement these
Mhm.
practices in our lives as small business owners to be able to be away and truly be that CEO that we're called to be.
Mhm.
So in terms of your journey personally, you spoke about having to develop that confidence. What did that look like truly for you?
I think it's still an everyday journey because sometimes you walk in rooms and you're like, do I belong in here? I think
Mhm.
when I first started at Goldman Sachs, I think we all went through this because we all
Yeah,
know
another
where
great
our
Goldman Sachs alumni. We thought we were all that when we walked in,
we
boy.
walk in and I think everybody knows their personal struggles
Mhm.
and then everybody else shows up like with smiles and you're like, they got it all together, not realizing
Mhm.
we all struggle with the same thing.
Yeah, well, we knew that by the end of a month in, we
Yeah,
realized, okay, everybody's on the
on the
same
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 level.
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we may as well, just be all in
Mhm.
to really benefit
Mhm.
from what is here. And I think we sharpened each other.
Mhm.
So being a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, as an alumni now, successful alumni, what did you learn? What was your greatest takeaway, and what has been the biggest implementer of those principles that you learned within your business?
I think it was the bare essentials like what is your mission statement? What is your vision? With me having a team, you assume
Hmm.
that your team understands your mission statement and your vision
Hmm.
based on how you carry yourself or what you do. Not realizing that you got to remind them, not necessarily reading it out to them, But
No, but sometimes you
yeah,
do have to
sometimes
read,
read
you
it
have to
out.
read it
Yeah,
out.
read it out, but not always reading it out,
Yeah.
but constantly
Just
pouring
remind.
it out there in conversation. Like if mine's was, it says good vibes. If it was good vibes every day, well, don't forget, we're going to keep good vibes. Like just always reminding them, like, this is the core of who we are. And I think that was like a big, and that was at the beginning.
Yeah.
But that was like a
Yeah.
big thing for me because it was like, dang, I don't think I actually do that part. And that could
Okay.
affect the whole culture of your
Yes.
team
Yeah.
because then you'll attract bad apples, and one bad apple turns into two. So you have to remember, if you continue to pour those things in, then it'll start overflowing. And so I think that was a big one for me. And then rolling over to systems and stuff like that.
Okay. So you've implemented and integrated new systems into the environment of your business structure. Okay.
And just reinforcing them, just showing them, like, when they don't understand something, well, like, okay, well, what did you do next? Instead of just giving them the answer, letting them know that, hey, we're problem solvers. So I can't solve all your problems. And that's part of our systems. I can't solve it because if I solve it for you, who's solving it for your client?
Right. And I think a lot of times we handicap people when we interfere. And because I'm that way. I don't know if anybody else is that way, but I'm that way. I'm like, just get out of the way, I'll do it myself. And we have to condition ourselves to not have that type of mindset and attitude, especially if we're going to be successful in business. And I know for me, recognizing that, I have to build support teams that do understand the vision and the mission. And the reason I chuckled when you said reading it to them, because sometimes you have to read it to them so they get it, because you can hand them a manual, you can hand them a book, and they won't look at it.
Yeah.
You can have it plastered on the wall, they won't read it. But you being the person driving the culture of that industry is so very, very important. And I think sometimes as business owners, we just forget that, oh, we're here to drive the train. Our job as the conductor is to drive this train and to stay on track. And if we don't do our job and step away too long, it's going to go off track, and then we'll find ourselves in a position of having to accept responsibility for that.
Yeah.
So 10 years in now, this business is scaling up. Another aspect that I know you're eventually going to work on?
So I feel like my wheel is always turning. And so I have a few things that I've been considering. I don't want to say them yet
No,
because
don't say
I'm still
'em.
praying over them.
Yeah.
But I have a few things that I've been working. But right now, just building out my leadership team is my important factor that I'm focused on now, because
Well, you're building a foundation.
yeah,
Yeah, that's all.
your leadership team, your good right hand. So I have a right hand, but now I need a left hand, right?
Okay.
And then a strong assistant. I have a transaction coordinator. So I have a lot of things that I want to build out, and then some kind of way to where having that leadership team, it's a benefit for them to be part of it. And so not just, oh, I get to work beside Amber. What is the benefit to being a part of this leadership
That's
team?
good. That's really
So
good.
trying to figure out how not only are they pouring into me, how am I continually pouring into them?
Yeah, because that infrastructure, that foundation, before you build upon it even greater, is so important. You got to have people in place that you can rely on, that you can trust, that really do understand the vision and the mission of what it is that you're doing. And I'm glad to hear that you're working on that, and that's how you're building. A lot of times people are like, well, you got to grow really fast. No, sometimes that fast growth is not the best growth that you can have. You had to have the right people in place so that you can build upon those building blocks.
We've had it to where, like, I had an assistant, we had all this, and we were moving fast, and business was booming.
Yeah.
But like I said, when one bad apple makes two bad apples, and it'll happen just as fast as it goes up. Those
Very
people
true.
will start moving, and you as a leader, you'll start questioning: is it me? Like, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And so pausing to realize, like, the pruning of people is not necessarily a failure.
Right.
That's your growth.
That's
You're
good.
moving up,
Mhm.
and those people weren't supposed to go with you.
Yeah.
And not necessarily faulting yourself. Of course, there's
Mhm.
always like, okay, well, what lessons could I have learned from
Mhm.
this?
Yeah.
But sometimes it isn't a lesson. It's just you're getting ready to go to a new
Yeah, it's
level.
just part of it. I know my business mentors always taught me to grow accustomed to putting up scaffolding and recognizing that that scaffolding has to come down.
Hmm.
Translated, there are going to be some people that will be with you for a season, and then there'll be people that'll roll off, and the right ones will come in. The
Hmm.
scaffolding has to come down. You don't want to build a beautiful building and then always have scaffolding up and nobody can ever see it. And so that was one of the most challenging things because I'm very relational and I love being in relationship with people and I want the best for them sometimes more than they want for themselves. So
Yeah, it
that was
felt like a
really hard.
breakup at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning. It felt I think the first three people that left, I think it felt like a breakup. Like, did I do
Exactly.
something? Was it me? And I
Yeah.
took it personal. And it took me a long time, probably like a year and a half to heal from it.
Yeah.
Like, emotionally heal to realize
Hmm.
this wasn't emotional.
Right.
This is business. And if they
Yeah.
affect you emotionally, it affects your business.
Yes.
So
So true.
understanding that
Hmm.
I have to take,
Yeah.
because the businesses are built off a relationship,
Hmm.
we do take our emotions in
Hmm.
our business,
Hmm.
and with that, people lean on that.
Yeah. One of the things I appreciated about going through the Goldman Sachs 10KSB is that they constantly reminded us that this was a business.
Hmm.
And so when we had those emotional moments, I don't know about you, but I was just like, okay, I got to take that emotion out of it
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, it is a business, even though you want to be in a relationship with,
Hmm.
but some people are just not going to go with you. And I
Hmm.
think that's part of the toughening of our skin that we have to learn, especially as women. And oftentimes with expectations that are different. Sometimes we don't want to have that conversation about the expectation, but I found myself having the same conversation with my daughter about going to that job. You got to work twice as hard, and I'm like, this is how many years later, and I'm still having this same conversation. So knowing that we have to do business reminds us that we're qualified to be in the game.
Yeah.
We're proven to be in the game, but we have to keep that focus, that sight set before us.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, even I think the hardest part after that is in even firing people.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Realizing they
Yeah.
don't fit in,
Yeah.
like, because it's nothing
Hmm.
just like when somebody leaves you, it's like it's nothing personal
Yeah.
against you. It's almost like a breakup, like it's
Yeah.
not you, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
me.
And explaining the culture
Hmm.
from the very beginning, because people can adapt. It could be the right person, right heart, right intent, and it's good to hear that a person took a chance on you, even with the nose ring, because they recognize something
Hmm.
more important in you. So when you're presenting your culture, it may not seem like it's a right fit for somebody, but if that person has the willingness
Hmm.
and the desire to want to grow and to do better and to adapt to what you're offering, I think that's a beautiful thing, and maybe we could fire less people. I know I have a sense of loyalty that is so deep that it probably is detrimental. And but it's something as business owners, I know I, for one, definitely had to learn over the years.
Yeah.
And Goldman Sachs 10KSB reinforced it that you cannot have that bad apple on
Hmm.
your team.
Hmm.
Because I think I can change them, but you really can't. They have
Yeah.
to want that change. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So for a business owner, specifically in real estate, but not necessarily in real estate, what would be something you would share with them in terms of their consideration of stepping into business and or continuing with their business? Because there are a lot of people that are really struggling right now and they're about ready to throw in the towel and ready to quit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you share?
Especially with our economy. So
Yes.
I would just say go back to the drawing board and like make sure that everything that you have or that you did to build that business, make sure that you're still doing those things. Because I
That's
think
good.
sometimes we get so far into our business, we
Hmm.
forget the basics of the business.
Hmm.
And so if you were attracting people this way and you no longer do those things,
Hmm.
especially in sales, try to go back to
Hmm.
doing that and see if it works for you, and try to look at your budget, see what makes sense in your budget, because sometimes we can get rid of things. We just have to dumb it down. I think like in 2020, I was scared with what's going to happen with real estate. We legally weren't supposed to be showing houses. We weren't supposed to be doing a lot of things that we were doing, right? And so I remember my business was built on my videos. So every day of the world being shut down, right? I remember dressing up, putting on my makeup, sitting in the living room on the couch and talking about something about real estate, telling you how to buy a house.
Wow.
Teaching you how to buy a house. Literally in the first week, I had 30 buyers. So if you go back
that is
to your
amazing.
basics, and I remember my mom would be in the kitchen because we made her stay with us because she's older. So, you know, she was stubborn in her way. She still wanted to go to the store and do all these things. And at that time,
of course, yeah.
everybody was in the hospital. So I was like, no, you have to stay with us. We got to make sure you're okay.
Yeah.
My sister lives with me and my nephew. So the whole house had to be quiet. If I could find those videos where I'm like, be quiet. And I'll be recording, and then all of a sudden you'll hear my nephew dunk a ball in his room. And I'll be like, I wasn't done.
You need to go back and find those. That would make a really good reel right now. 'Cause I guarantee you so many people could relate to that, you know, because as we all transitioned our business into this virtual world, you're trained and equipped, but there are so many funnies that just happen with people, the mishaps. Yeah, that'd be really good. But I commend you for the innovativeness and the creativity, which, you know, I think is something that many times people are afraid to step into. And so, and it's hard too to get dressed up just for a camera, and you don't know who's going to be on the other side of that. But that's where that broadcasting and that PR came back and came in handy.
I had a whole intro and that I had created and everything. And I remember sending the intro to a videographer, and I said, "Can you make this prettier?" And he was like, "What are we calling this?" So we had like a whole thing, and every day it came out. I would post it at the same time every day.
Wow.
And I just remember I got so many buyers just off of the first week, but not to mention like, and that's when my team had to start because I had so much. I couldn't handle everything.
Wow. And I'm sure they were very grateful for that opportunity as well. They were probably sitting at home trying to figure out, just like you, like, how are we going to maneuver through this?
Yeah, people who were in my DMs, like, what are you doing to make your business grow?
Wow.
And I was like, would you like to be on my team? What would you like to do? How can we do this? How can I work with you? How can I make you better? Because I felt like you were comfortable enough to come to me for help.
Yeah.
So here, let's do this together.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, that's an amazing story, and so through that, here we are today.
Yes.
Yeah, and you're doing well and working what it is that you know to work so that you can be the success. Well, I think we have another business owner who is absolutely proven. And you know what? You may go through hardships, you may go through disappointments, you may recognize obstacles in your way, but at the end of the day, that's just part of what it takes for you to be the best version of you in your business so that you won't quit, you won't give up, and you won't throw in the towel, but you will indeed make it. So share with individuals how to get in contact with you.
So I'm going to start with my phone number. You can always call me or text me. My phone number is 214-980-5630. But if you want to like research me and look me up and make sure I'm everything that I say I am.
I love that.
My Instagram is primarily how I have marketed myself. So my Instagram is Dorsey, DORSEY _sales, SELLS _ DFW.
Well, Dorsey is selling DFW. Dorsey sells DFW. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for being with me today. And you are indeed an incredible model. We look forward to seeing more from you, and I commend you on your creativity. Keep it innovative and keep doing what you're doing and build that infrastructure. So again, like I said, there you have it, another person who's proven, who is sharing with you their raw, unscripted version of how they got to where they are. It's not always easy, but it's worth it if that's what you're called to do. So remember, this is not just to inspire, but to show you that it is indeed possible. And if you put in the work, guess what? You can be proven too.